Chapter 3. A scraping sound from a heavy white door filled the fairly hollow lobby as William Iris took the first step into his soon-to-be home. A few orderlies went about their conversation of last night's panic, while William steadily paced towards the front desk. As he approached, a loud noise directed his attention straight down a hallway past a front desk where a patient struggled, pleading in a frightened voice.
No! Please! No!
Although the employees were gentle with the man, it was still a bit alarming to William. The man was then taken into an elevator off to the side and out of sight.
How can I help you, sir?
William was impressed and slightly overwhelmed by the building's sterile and extremely modern vibe. William had no doubt that this place had been a huge client for the pharmaceutical vending company he worked for. An already annoying voice struck his sight back to the other side of the desk where a ratty-looking woman sat. William thought to himself, she couldn't be more than 30 years old. The woman had short, bouncy black hair with teeth and glasses fit for a mouse. William replied with short delay. Yeah. I need to speak with Dr. Young, please. I have an appointment at 7:30. He quickly glanced at his cell phone to make sure he wasn't late. He was always late. As suspected, the clock read 7:38 a.m.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna need you to sign in here, please. He'll be out in about 10 minutes. He's finishing up an evaluation for a patient right now. Okay, hun? So have a seat.
She snapped quickly. William then asked, where are your restrooms at? She replied,
Right there behind you to the left, hun.
William read her name tag since Miss Charmer hadn't mentioned it. Her name was Nancy. He strolled over to the restrooms to wash his hands as they were sweaty and he couldn't stand it. While doing so, he looked in the mirror to see the damage caused by the stress from the crap he was inflicting on himself at the moment. He finished washing his hands, which still felt clammy. He felt quite nervous with his decision to put himself here, since it meant no family or friends until the doctors or himself straightened things out in his head. William walked back to discover Dr. Young already talking to Nancy at the desk. William heard her say,
There he is.
She pointed back towards William. Dr. Young turned around. William only knew it was Dr. Young because he recognized his firm, easy-to-listen-to voice from the phone conversation earlier this morning.
William Iris. I'm Dr. Young. Welcome to VMI. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person.
The doctor extended his hand to William for a firm handshake. Dr. Young had crystal blue eyes encompassed by sleek, silver, elliptical-shaped metal-rimmed eyeglasses. The doctor must have noticed William's hand because immediately after the handshake, Dr. Young said,
All right, William. No worries. Just some simple questions for today. If that's all right with you, that is, sir.
Dr. Young smiled. William already found comfort in his warm tone. Whatever you say, Doc, William replied cheerfully. William followed Dr. Young, and they passed the desk and went through the huge glass double doors. Dr. Young slid the card that was hanging from his neck over the card reader, and the door clicked and chirped as the magnet released and opened the thick glass double doors.
Dr. Young.
The nervousness drew near again as they passed little white room after little white room. William disliked the all-white style that was crawling throughout the structure. It made his mind feel busy, uneasy, and nervous. It was as if all that blank space was intended to be filled with two things. The nightmares from his constant thoughts that circled him day by day, or paint. They both approached and entered Dr. Young's office now.
Hope you don't mind the mess, William. I'm a fairly busy man these days. Now that the damn place is filled with new employees who can't tell the difference between the restrooms and the laboratory. And I can't tell the difference between the new employees and the patients.
They both laughed. William replied, That's all right. Often my room back home is full of dirty laundry and papers from unpaid bills everywhere. Dr. Young smiled and then got right to business.
So, William, first things first. We're here to see if you being here is right for you. Because you are the one who is ultimately making the decision. VMI and I are merely tools to help you along the way.
William replied, Yeah, I know. Thank you. He then took a deep breath. Dr. Young then asked curiously,
Well then, tell me about these nightmares and daydreams you've been having, William.
William paused for a second and felt stuck in a quicksand of words. There was a short silence. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm kinda scaring myself these days, Doc. I fainted in the park that my girlfriend and I had always walked through together. William found himself having a hard time stomaching his own words, but still continued on in a bit of a shaky voice. Dr. Young then asked,
So, what is it you're seeing or dreaming, William?
William's eyes welled up, but he still continued with a firm voice. It always starts out with the wedding. Everything is going fine. My father begins to tell me something, and then all hell breaks loose. My heart pounds nearly out of my chest, and panic completely overtakes me. Screams fill the air, inhuman screams. A thick fog fills in all around me and in a weird way consumes my thoughts and fills me with doubt and little hope. Dr. Young jotted a few things down in his pad on the dark oak desk as William finished. I don't want to be broken. I want to move past this, Doctor. I fear if I can't conquer this, if I can't get through it, it'll consume me. As it did in the park. William shuddered and continued. This creature, or some sort of person. Visions flashed in William's head. Dr. Young questioned William.
A sort of person.
William answered. Yeah, it looked like a person, but its eyes were almost... Suddenly the memory became too intense for William. A tear ran down his cheek and he just stopped at that. Dr. Young then asked William,
These screams, William. You say you hear them in the day as well.
William snapped out of his terror and lifted his head off from his hands and said, Yes, I hear them when I have too much time to think. Or when I see certain people that give me a strange feeling. In my dreams, though, I see them engulfed by some sort of overcast-like cloud. I figured maybe it was the loud construction sounds that people have been hearing lately at nighttime. It drives me crazy knowing what happened, but not remembering a thing. Just blackness. When it happened in the day, though, I almost got killed by a truck. Followed by the nightmare being played out in my head entirely while I walked through the park from this very institution. I knew that the problem would be more complicated. Dr. Young quickly lectured.
Well, William, dreams are still a mystery to even the best psychologists around. You can never really tell if it's from true desire or fears or simply your mind regurgitating all the loads of information it takes in day by day. As for you seeing and hearing these things in the conscious state, well, certain strange things happen to people after they've dealt with a great deal of stress. It is indeed a serious problem we will face here at Vista.
William responded quickly. It feels as if someone's waiting inside, Doc. It happens whenever I have these nightmares, or, like I said before, when I see certain people that give me the strangest feelings. William already felt frustrated with himself and felt that little vein pumping on his top left temple. And only did that when he was mad or worked up. He sat back in his chair and relaxed for a second to regroup. He knew how important it was to make the things he said to a doctor clear so the problem can be found. Dr. Young noticed this and said,
William, don't worry. Not everything has to be said right now. These things take time. I'm gonna recommend that you follow through with your choice to stay here at Vista. It's gonna take more time than just today, okay?
Dr. Young smiled. William started staring out the window that was behind Dr. Young and found himself spacing out on the large single oak tree in the courtyard, blowing in the subtle breeze. It looked cold outside. William liked it cold. It made him feel new and fresh. He was able to think better in the cold. Not when it was cooler, but cold. Dr. Young directed his attention back by blurting,
William?
William blinked and stared back to the doctor and asked, "What?" William felt embarrassed. It didn't matter how important something was that people told him, he'd always get distracted. William replied, "Sorry, that courtyard out there is beautiful. Anyway, yeah, I know what you mean, Doc. I know it'll take time. Is it all right with you if I have a quick little tour?" Dr. Young found this refreshing. It's as if William had already made his decision as he spoke. He felt that this kid would most likely be fine in the end, and he'd send him on his way to a better life. Hopeful thinking was common for Dr. Young.
Well, of course, William. Just try to keep up. It's a remodeled building, and I'm not even sure that I know it all yet.
Dr. Young stood up and led William out of the office. William said while walking, "Thanks, Doc." While walking further down the hallway, William was thinking about the diploma that he had seen on Dr. Young's wall in the office. William didn't like diplomas. He thought they were as ridiculous as currency and didn't portray intelligence at all. But he found intelligence and, even more important, wisdom in Dr. Young. They went on and on through the institution. It was huge, like a hotel, but only 2 stories. Dr. Young showed William the cafeteria first. It was lively. Most of the patients looked casual as they got their food and sat at their tables. William's favorite part so far was the courtyard in the center of the structure that was lined with small trees on the outside and one big oak tree in the center. It's as if the place was built around the tree. As Dr. Young rambled on and on about the place.
Now, William, the first thing you should know is that there are 2 floors here at VMI. The one we're on now is for self-admitted patients, and floor 2 is for our state-admitted criminally insane patients. We won't be touring the 2nd floor, if that's all right with you. Security protocol.
William started to observe the patients as he and the doctor explored the enormous structure. He noticed one patient in particular that was in a grey robe sitting alone at a small round table with his head down. He had his hands on the back of his messy head with his elbows touching the table, and a cigarette not yet lit in one of his hands. As William stared at the man, the sound in the room muffled, as if he was submerged in blankets. William heard a faint whisper that seemed to come from within. "You're not done yet." William quickly ignored it. He wondered what would be going through the mind of the man who had his head in his hands, as he had never met someone who was in a mental institution. William now felt tired from thinking about all of this and wished he could lie down. The touring went on for 10 more minutes as Dr. Young showed William how comfortable the rooms were, how low the security on the first floor actually was, and how most of the patients on this floor could simply walk out any day they wanted. It made William feel a lot more comfortable about making his decision. Dr. Young then said with a deep breath,
Well, William, that's about it for the place.
Dr. Young then paused and looked at his watch, saying,
Well, looks like that's about it for my time as well.
William realized that he was back at the entrance again. He then had a thought forced upon him from nowhere. He was thinking about one thing that he always thought about since he was a child. Why do humans have good and evil in their thoughts? Why would someone do something wrong to people or a person? And his ultimate question, where the hell do thoughts originate?